Rugby analyst, and we're talking all things rugby. Zola, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Simon.
I suppose the hot topic right now, and it has been for quite a while, is a story we just played earlier. Fikile Mbalula defending his decision to specially wrap SA Rugby on the knuckles. Do you think this is a motive of his that is going to work and pay and get Rugby to take notice?
I think that kind of an action has been long overdue, but at the same time, some of us, we do not think that it's enough because there's a whole lot of outstanding issues that still need to be dealt with, and these kind of measures or punitive measures that he has put forward, I do not think that they will really uproot the real problem, because the real problem that is blocking transformation to happen is not SARU per se, but it's the affiliates that are affiliated to SARU who are the real problem, whereby white clubs still have 3 votes in this country and black clubs have 1 vote. And there's programs that are designed within the system that only benefit what you see when you watch his Varsity Cup. It's not by default that you see what you're seeing happening in terms of numbers of players that are participating within Varsity Cup and other competitions. This is a designed program that doesn't deal with the real issue of development and transformation.
Right, and I mean, you're on the front lines and privy to what goes on in club rugby on the weekends. Do you think the minister would be best served to actually go and see what goes on during some of the club rugby matches?
Basically, maybe the advice to the minister is simple. The EPG report that is got, it's not wrong. Whatever transformation programs that have been put by SARU or SASCOC are not wrong. But what is wrong is that all those that have been designed, they've been designed excluding the people who are faced with these challenges.
Right.
So I would suggest or propose to the minister that he calls a national rugby indaba that is inclusive of everyone. And then the solutions will really be there, because I do not think that even the minister has got time to go through, let's say, the Lions or the Bulls constitution to understand the real issues, because the issue of voting is a constitutional matter, and in his EPG report or whatever that he's been saying, I do not hear the minister talking about fixing these unions' constitutions.
Right, so the numbers are in favour of certain clubs. They stacked, the odds are stacked in their favour, basically.
Basically, that's what needs to be fixed first. Then secondly, you come to the issue of funding these unions and not utilize that funding within the scope that they've been given. You give these unions funding, for example, for, let's say, from the lottery to run development within the communities. That funding, if you can really scrutinize and check and make them account, you'll find out that it's maybe 3% of that fund that really goes to what they are saying. Instead, they are divisive, these unions, when it comes to communities. They come to communities and divide and rule. And you find a situation whereby you form a club within a club so that they keep you right there. And then you go and watch, for example, what we call community cup. And the only thing that you see there, I call it a system that is only white on top and then the rest is black in the bottom.
Right. And they basically co-opted the community cup as well to kind of, I don't know, even control the image of club rugby, it seems.
And it goes even up to the SARU structures, whereby you find 80% of SARU is transformed, but transformed by who? It's transformed of people who are co-opted, who doesn't sit in a boardroom and make decisions. So you call that transformation. So it's pointless for us to be sitting and drafting all these strategies and reports, whereas the issue here, it has gone wrong in 1992 when black clubs were told to fold, and then the white clubs were kept, the status quo was kept. Those are the real issues that you need to really take to this national rugby indaba that I'm proposing that the minister should call.
Right, and Rugby Indaba, he did a sports Indaba in 2011, so this is not beyond the scope of what the minister could be capable of calling together.
Yes, because we can't use the blanket system where you deal with netball, soccer. Rugby on its own, it needs to be dealt with separately.
Right.
Because there's a whole lot of issues of even equity, whereby Robert Gumede, for example, kind of a deal, it fell off. And if you can really zoom into that, why that deal fell off, then you'll find that there's some skeletons in the closet there to dealing with such kind of deals. Then you look at other deals where you find that one man, he owns shares at Blue Bulls, at the Sharks, at Western Province, but this cake cannot be cut by a certain race or by certain people. So there are all those kind of issues that we really need to go to a national rugby indaba and unpack all these issues and then cut the cake accordingly.
Right, so that's the big topic in South African rugby at the moment, and more to be done. Let's just quickly get on to some Super Rugby news, because it looks like the South African teams might be staring a whitewash in the face if the Bulls were anything to go by. We got the Cheetahs Waratahs tomorrow. How do you see that going?
Well, I don't know what's going on with the Cheetahs, because probably maybe they are the Arsenal of rugby.
Okay, that's been very kind to the Cheetahs, actually.
Where they develop talent and then it gets snatched up. Because if you can really look into what's been happening there, they've been developing like great players, but all of those players, every year, all of those players, they leave the franchise and they have to start afresh every time. And I really feel for the coaches, because it must be really frustrating for them. To every year they develop, and once they start, gets grinding, and then those players, they get sold. I don't know if maybe that's a financial model that runs that union to sustain, or that franchise to sustain. Going to the Waratahs game, watching the Waratahs at Newlands last week.
Yeah, exactly.
I do not see the Cheetahs coming out of that game, honestly speaking.
And that's concerning, because the next two matches that the South Africans have to face, the South African teams this weekend, are both against Kiwi opposition. How do you see this, the Sharks versus Hurricanes?
Well, with the Sharks, I'm not sure, because I think it's one of our experienced sides that we've got. If you look into the personnel that the Sharks they've got,
but they travel weary.
They are one of the franchises who are very good on traveling. If you look at the records.
But they just come back from New Zealand, very disappointing to her. What do you think? Are Hurricanes there for the taking or not?
I'm not sure, because the Hurricanes, I think they are on form team. If you look at what's happening. And they've got over 37 or 38 points. I think they've got over 30 points on the log standings. And if you look, the South African conference, who's leading,
we're not even touching.
We're not even on 30 yet. So it really shows the superiority of the Kiwi structures. Because if you look even last year, what they've done after the World Cup, they took the entire under 20 players. They contracted them. They put them in those franchises, and I think it's paying off. You look at the Mackenzies of this world, the Savias of this world, the younger brother from.
It's a concerning situation. We're gonna have to stop it there. We could talk all night about this. We're not going to get onto the Kings versus the Blues. Maybe that might be a surprise. Zola Ntlokoma, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Brilliant. Right. Well, we're going to go to.